Now, TalkSport, bless them, they I don't even know what to say about these guys, but in any case, TalkSport here, you got Barry Glendenning, and you've also got Mr. Max Rushton here. Just listen to what they say about Arne Slot and the substitution.
Well, and Liverpool played really well in the second half. And I did like that Arne Slot really congratulated himself for his halftime substitution.
Yes.
He was like, what really changed the game in this match was me. Yeah. And long may that continue. I mean, I don't know a lot about Arne Slot, but I hope he's... Yes.
I will just throw Jarell Quansah under the bus while I clap myself on the back. For my wonderful substitution.
When Jota scored and it crashed to the bench, Quansah, everyone else was celebrating. Quansah was just sitting there, just looking
seething,
really annoyed. And fair enough, right? You know, like I don't think he had a particularly bad half at all. But they were much better in the second half. That's
that one done, yeah. That's that one done. We'll come back to this. Oddly enough, by the way, I noticed this. No comments are permitted, which is a bit weird. Very rarely do you see a TalkSport video with comments turned off. I've only seen that once before, and that was when... Who's that former female Manchester United player, whatever she is, Anne Saunders, is that her name? Something Saunders. She had a wild take during the Euros, and the backlash was massive, and the comments were turned off. I've only seen it once, so I'm not sure if that's done on purpose or by accident, but in any case, we move on. The second bit here is from The Rest is Football between Lineker, Shearer and Richards, and let's hear what they had to say about the substitution.
It was interesting talking about Arne Slot and that change he made at half time, because he talked about it. I've got a quote here. He went, the first thing I said, we don't have to speak about tactics if you lose so many duels. Jarrell lost every duel. Many of us lost too many duels. We needed Kanate to win the long balls for the number 9. That gave us control. Now that's speaking out publicly about, a player's performance is not something that you would have ever heard, I don't think, from Jurgen Klopp. So there's already a slight difference there. I'm always slightly nervous when managers or coaches are publicly critical of their players. So, but if that's his style,
it wasn't an experienced player, though, was it? It was
correct. I
just wonder whether.
Why does Richards look like he's streaming from a Nokia 7210 from 2005? What the hell is that quality?
Not so sure you've done that with an experienced player. It's easier to do it with a younger player than it is a big hitter.
But that's why it's worth pointing out that he did.
Yeah. To be fair, it worked. The decision worked. But yeah.
It worked. There you go. It worked. It was a bit weird to do it with an inexperienced player. He would never have done it with a big hitter. Oh, how people have such short memories. Let me refresh your mind right now. 2017, it's October. It's Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool taking on Tottenham Hotspur at Wembley. I think it was. They were playing at Wembley at the time. And we ended up getting pumped 4-1. We were losing 3-0, I think, by the 30th minutes. And one down, Lovren was our defender at the time. Like I said, the Rest is Football podcast, I reckon Klopp would never do such a thing to an inexperienced player or call them out for their performances. But let me cast you to this. So this is from 23rd of October 2017. Klopp turns on Lovren after, quote, really bad defending, unquote, in Liverpool's Spurs humiliation. A sloppy mistimed header from the defender allowed Spurs to double their lead early on at Wembley, and he earned his manager's wrath for the blooper. He got subbed in the 30th minute, and there's a bit here. It says here, the first goal was a little throw-in and we were not really there. It was just bad defending. Told after the final whistle. It says here Lovren watched the last 2 strikes from the bench after being subbed after 30 minutes. So it was 2-0, not 3-0. And his manager admitted that defender's performance was not up to scratch. In the second counter-attack, the ball passed Lovren. It's already too late. He even, Klopp said, if I'm involved in this situation on the pitch, then Harry cannot get the ball. So he even said, Klopp said, if I'm playing in Lovren's position, Kane is not getting to this ball. So that's pretty damning if you ask me. For them to say Klopp will never do such a thing is already lies, because the proof is right here. We're looking at it here right now. It says here, Klopp, however, underlined that despite Lovren's mistakes, it was the team as a whole that failed at Wembley. Now we have to realise we are responsible for this and nobody else. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, as we all know, Lovren missed a whole bunch of games. He deactivated his social media. He had abuse and threats and all sorts of madness from that performance, which I think is just absolutely dumb and ridiculous. No player should ever be subject to that sort of barrage of abuse, and that happened. And look, he came back stronger, ended up playing in many important matches, obviously winning the Premier League with us, Champions League, among many other trophies. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. Now, to take it back to the Jarrell Quansah situation, as I said, Klopp hooked Lovren after the 30th minute, and he was right to do so. And, you know, he was an experienced player. He still got hooked. Didn't mean anything that he was an experienced player. Didn't say, oh, we'll let him kick on, he'll get better. He saw it wasn't working, he took him off. Now, as for the Arne Slot comment from Barry Glendenning and from Max Rushton, where like, I love how he applauded himself and he congratulated himself for the result in a way, whatever it was. It's like, he is the manager. I mean, if your player isn't performing, you change him up, you change tactics, you tell him to do something different. That's one of the reasons why you make substitutions. Slot did what a manager or a coach is supposed to do. Change when things are not working out. I don't know what else you want this guy to do. Quansah was seen on the bench upset. Sure, we don't know if that was himself reflecting on his performance. Maybe he had a talk at halftime. Maybe he thought, why am I being subbed? I didn't deserve to be subbed. Maybe he's annoyed with himself. Nobody knows for sure. But if a youngster does well, and I've noticed this with many other youngsters coming through the academies to the first teams, not just Liverpool, but other places as well. If a youngster does well, they get praised and they say they can kick it with the big boys. But when it doesn't work out so well, they always say, well, they're young, they're still learning, they're inexperienced, so you must cut them some slack. I don't buy that shit. I don't buy that shit. If you're going to perform in the first team, then you're going to have to cop it like a first teamer would. You're not performing, you're going to be benched. You're going to miss out. Doesn't matter that you're young. He's played enough games to know what it takes to play in this Liverpool team. He's played pre-season. He knows what Slot wants. He played under Klopp. Klopp brought him through. He knows the standards of Liverpool Football Club, so I'm not buying that. And it wasn't that he had a bad game. It's just specifically the long balls were not being met in the aerial duel section by Quansah, so he brought in Kanate to deal with that. That's all it was. And if he didn't rate him to begin with, why would he have even started him? You'd much rather have started Kanate and then brought on Quansah later on if he needed to. It doesn't make sense. And he didn't throw Quansah under the bus. They literally asked the question, subbed at halftime. Well, we weren't getting the aerial duels, and Quansah was under a bit of pressure, so he wasn't getting to them. So I decided to take him off, bring on Kanate to solidify that, and that helped us, win the balls and then get up the pitch and score the goals that we did, and it ended up working out. So I don't see what's wrong with that. It's not like a Ten Hag situation with Sancho where he literally cussed out the player and said, he's not training well and he's not being the best and it's all this, or he left him out for tactics and etc. etc. It's a very different situation there. He didn't do anything wrong per se, but the duels were not being won. So I don't know where these people are getting these notions of that there is some controversy, or it makes me nervous when a manager does these sorts of things. So if a player's not performing, they're going to get subbed. It's as simple as that. That's all it was.